Hey everyone, Joshua Hanlon here, and today I'm back at the Bricks and Minifigs store in Tucson, Arizona with JL, and we are going to be taking a look at some of the rarest and coolest stuff that they have available in the store today. So you've got a great variety of offerings from many different years that you've assembled for the video today.
Yeah, so some of the stuff we've held on to, we wanted to pick a variety, but yeah, there's some from different decades and different themes and stuff like that. It's always cool to see what people bring in for trade. You know, either they're, of course, tired of their old sets and they want to get something new or change it, or, they're just looking to move on or moving.
Right.
Yeah. So
there we go. We'll launch on in with the modular building here. This is the cafe corner, the original. I think it started the whole line. Jamie Berard's, now famous series of sets.
Yes. And he's actually one of my favorite designers, come to find out, because there's some other sets that he's been in development with that I didn't know about, and I like those sets. And then I look at who was the designer on them, and he was the designer behind them. One of them is the cool convertible, the white car, which we don't have now. I had one before, but we've sold it. But yeah, we've seen some cool stuff come through.
So there's details on the inside as well we can take a look at. Maybe take
the
some
first floor's kind of boring. There's not a whole lot in there.
I've actually never taken like a deep dive into this set.
So a lot of it, so a lot of them have their different levels, of course. This one's kind of basic and plain inside, with the roof comes off, and then you got your second floor and then your first floor.
This sign is certainly one of the highlights with the brick built lettering there is super
definitely.
cool.
When you get the light behind it, you can really see the glow of the translucent bricks, which is cool.
Now next to that is something very different, very colorful, very pink. So what is this from?
So this is a Blvd set. I don't remember the exact year that this one came out. This one came in on a trade the other day with some other Duplo sets and stuff. And it's one of their, I guess, themes that they did to kind of draw in the girl kids, for the crowd with the dolls and stuff like that.
Before Friends, this was one of their attempts to kind of reach out into that demographic.
And I guess it didn't go over too well. It's interesting to see now.
It certainly created some unique products.
Yeah. So, I mean, the funny thing on this one, if you notice, it's like a little potty or something. I don't know. It's kind of funny. But yeah, they were more dollhouse-ish, and they kind of went outside of like the Lego system on a lot of the parts for the figures and stuff. And I think that's kind of what hurt the sets, is it didn't really meld over. You didn't want to mix your modular with the Blvd stuff. It just didn't mix in and match very well.
What is the articulation like on these here? So can you...
They're pretty straightforward.
You can get some good movement there, yeah.
They used a little bit like the old Technics figures for the joints, but they didn't have quite the articulation that the Lego Technic figures have, which I don't know if you're familiar with those at all, but they're about that height, maybe a little bit shorter.
The old Technic figures, yeah, the kind of brick built.
Those guys are really cool because they're really posable and they're kind of fun to...
I love this raised base plate is great as well. So much detail. Looks like there's some stickers added on, but a lot of this is also printed.
Yeah, the base plate is really unique and really neat. Good for other sets too. I mean, it looks almost like it could be used for like an elf set or something like that.
Yeah, those colors that's true. They're very reminiscent of the recent Elves theme, some of those types of colors for sure.
Yeah.
Moving down next, this one's a little bit newer, but a fantastic set. As a big fan of the castle themes, I love this. Lego hasn't given castle fans a whole lot in recent years, a little bit more over the last year or two now, but it's been few and far between for a while, but this was one of the highlights from a few years ago.
Yeah, definitely. The jousting set was definitely one that was high on people's list, I'm sure. This one's pretty cool. It's all complete, and it's got a lot of unique little details to it. You could probably see better on the box too here. It's one that you can add in onto as well too. You can add it to more of the castle sets that came out with the Kingdom stuff from back in the day. I think they show adding with a second one and how big you can build your castle if you bought two of them. So that one was pretty funny, I thought.
If you just keep buying more and more sets, it's amazing how big you can go.
Yeah, exactly. buy 4 of them and you can make it 4 times as big. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the castle ones are definitely iconic for Lego.
And then moving back around to the other side of the table, this is a theme that I think many Lego fans would love to see Lego return to. I think there were only 2 sets in the original run of this, right?
Yeah, as far as I know, there was only 2 sets. There's a ship. I'm not that familiar with the Airbender series, but I know it was really popular. It still is popular. It still has a pretty big following. Yeah, so they only ended up producing 2 sets for the series, which is unfortunate because it probably could have, I think now probably continued a little bit further than what it did in the, when it first came out.
I think all these Avatar figures are very sought after. You can see them there. And then, of course, you've got some play features on the set. So there's a trap door in the back there. And I think you get some play features with the doors as well. Can lock up. So
yeah, this one's kind of a work in progress one. It's missing some pieces and parts to it, but it's kind of hard to put those together when you've got, such a unique set. And sometimes these old sets, had unique pieces and parts to them that they put out for this set only and not for others. So.
But it's crazy to think about a theme like this that only had 2 sets in it. That seems so unusual today for Lego to do a run like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then next to that, we're going a little bit older with this model team set. So what is the story behind this one?
So this one in particular is one that was a set that I wanted as a kid, and I remember seeing it on the shelf, seeing the box with the highway rig on the box, and it had like a sunset behind it, really cruising down the highway. And so this one was, so I was like really little at the time when I saw it, and so it was probably one of those sets that was above my age bracket and putting it together. The way these ones build, it is really more building like a model. And so it has some play feature to it, but it's not as sturdy.
It's not a play set necessarily.
As what you'd find like a Technic set today, even though it does have some Technic parts to it. But these ones were cool because you could take it apart, and it's obviously got some alternate builds to it, like a Jeep with a trailer.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so when I saw this one, I was like, this is one of the cooler ones because it just has so much stuff and detail to it. And you got the cab in there. It's got the steering.
So you turn the wheel on the back, and then it turns the steering in the front.
Which is really similar to a lot of the Technic cars that they use today. They have a small gear on the back that turns the wheels, and they're a lot smoother than they were back then. This one is got some old gearing to it that you can see down through the bottom there. Yeah, so when you turn the wheel in the back. So yeah, they've come a little way as far as their steering goes and how it functions.
So what year was that one from? Do you remember?
This one's 1986.
Okay,
yeah.
86.
Yeah.
And then the one next to it, I think, is 1989. So sort of a similar time frame here. This was a really unique set. I had never seen this before. Can you show off some of the play features on this one?
So this one is a lot of fun because it's sturdy enough to where you can like fly it around and stuff
swooshable,
like that.
very swooshable.
Yes. It's got interesting features. So the door on the back unlocks with this, and then you can take your patient out of there.
So it's like a rescue helicopter, yes. I think was the name of this one.
So you got your patient in there. He gets rescued, and you got to lock him back in. But the coolest thing about this one is it has a 9-volt block to it. So you've got your lights.
The red and green lights there flash. So that's like that's inside there, kind of behind the.
Yeah, so that's the 9-volt.
Or that is the piece itself, right? Is that a sticker on there?
That's actually printed on.
Oh, it's printed on there. Okay, gotcha.
So it's unique to this set. And then it's got the sound.
I don't know if that picks up on the camera or not, but yeah, you can hear. And I think you can even change the sounds by turning that top piece, right?
Keep turning.
There you go, and it changes the sound up.
Yeah.
That is super cool. And so you can see on the front of the instructions, they advertised it with light and sound system there.
Yeah. So this one's one of my favorites because it's just, and what's cool about it, like they give you a couple ideas to, build some alternate, aircraft or whatever, and you can utilize your light and sound for those too.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool set. It's really neat. One of those hidden gems.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's not something you would normally run across
exactly.
in day to day, but then moving next from that, this is something that a lot of fans will be familiar with, I think. Obviously, the Imperial line, and Pirates is very popular.
Yeah, so this one's the El Dorado Fortress. And this one is really unique because of the base plate. I think it comes in this set and maybe one or two others, I think. But it's a really cool set. It's got a lot of like your soldiers to it. It doesn't have as many pirates because they're out to steal the treasure.
Oh no, I'm breaking it here. I was trying to show off the play feature.
Yeah, so you got your...
That doesn't work like I thought it did.
So this one, it lifts up.
I thought it was hinged. Oh, there you go. So you pulled it. Okay.
Yeah, and then
there you go.
Go over, and so it's going into their vault.
The treasure hold.
Yeah. And of course, like you've got your launching.
Oh, the cannon that actually fires. There you go. They've got the musket trained on the entrance here, the ramp up, and then another cannon up here. So well protected.
The governor's well protected up here. So.
And then you've always got to have your jail cell. You need where's the pirate skeleton rotting away in there?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They always have a skeleton or a ghost haunting the place.
But yeah, these sets are so much fun. This was definitely one of my like early childhood sets. Grew up playing with a lot of these sets from that era, whether it was the Pirate Imperial or the Western sets, all of that really cool stuff. So I love that.
And yeah, and I love how it builds over the base plate too. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, and it's really fun to see how the designers with these sets designed around the base plate for the function to be able to play with it, but for it to stand up and to be able to be sturdy enough to play with. The other part I like is the printed wall pieces too. Those are just really, really cool.
Brick facade type of look.
Exactly. Yeah, so those are really fun too.
Well, next up we have something very different from that, and this was something as I was walking around the store and just like looking for cool products to show off. I don't think I've ever seen a Lego branded puzzle, certainly from this era. I believe this is from 1999. So not only is this a puzzle with 100 pieces, but the idea is it's kind of like a search and find. So it says what's wrong with this picture, and then there's all sorts of crazy stuff happening, and like this guy has like a tool on his head. There's all sorts of things wrong in the picture, so you could in theory, build the puzzle and then sit there and find everything that's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. You know, they had recently done puzzles, and those are really cool, and they're really nice puzzles. But I had no idea that they did puzzles back then too. I think that I don't even know what date this one comes from.
I think it was 1999. I saw in the box earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, there was kind of an era where they were trying a lot of stuff.
So you could either buy like the original run of Star Wars sets or Lego City Puzzle. That was your options. And then going from there, I wanted to branch out into kind of like a broader conversation with a lot of these older sets about kind of how you assemble these, because obviously as a Bricks and Minifigs store, you get all sorts of crazy stuff coming in the door. Some of it sealed, but a lot of it open, and it's just lots of pieces. So talk a little bit about kind of some of what you get in the door, and then how you assemble some of these older sets here, and you can use some of what we have on display as an example.
Yeah. Ideally, when we take in a trade, we recommend that it come in pre-built, because obviously going through bulk and like other parts and pieces and finding all of that takes some time. So we're able to assess a set a little bit easier if it comes in pre-built. When it comes in parts and pieces, sometimes we can identify some of the iconic things that belong to certain sets, like the monorail here. I mean, these are obviously going to be monorail track pieces. Sometimes we'll find a motor or a 9-volt battery pack, and that kind of gives us a clue as to what's in the set or what's in the bulk, that, you know, something might be worth going through it. So the function for this is, you know, we have the instruction book for this one. And so the bulk that we got had a lot of the instructions to those sets that were broken down into that bulk. And then we can go through, wash it, and piece it together, pull out the parts and sort it. And that takes some time. So it's not something we do for every set or all the bulk we get in. It's just too time consuming to do it that way. But for an iconic set like this, this is something that might have a bigger value to it, that we can put that kind of time and effort into completing it and making sure that it's all there. Instead of throwing all these parts and pieces into the bulk table, we can piece this set together because we know that it's going to be pretty close to complete and everything there and functional.
Right, and so this set was part of a much bigger lot, right, of a whole
Yeah.
bunch of older sets that
Yes.
someone brought in, which explains all of these cool old minifigs we have as
Yeah.
well. So this was all someone's just old lot of a bunch of sets, and then you're able to kind of pick out the best stuff from that and piece it together.
Yeah, so I go through, we would sort out and pick out the minifigs and see which ones are mostly complete. And then from there, we can kind of get an idea of what sets might be in the bulk and if any of it would be worth pulling out and piecing together. Otherwise, you know, one of our biggest features is our minifigs case. So we would offer those minifigs for sale as well too. If we are not able to complete them in the set, they would go out for sale in our cases.
Yeah, and we can see an example of some of that here. So this was some of the
Yeah.
stuff that was brought in, and you're just picking through all of these different pieces. You can see
Yep.
some of the minifigure parts that you've separated and accessories down there.
Yeah, and base plates are another good indicator as to what set might be in there. Like we did with the castle, we have a unique base plate for the castle. For this one, if we went back to the Airbender set, this base plate, since we found that one, this is the only set that this base plate comes in.
The white base
yeah.
plate there? Oh, wow,
So
okay.
since we found that base plate, you know, it's like, wow, this is the only set that that base plate comes with, or was released with. And so we have a really good idea that that set might be able to be completed out of the bulk that we get. So
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. And I'm sure it's also just kind of a fun experience for you guys and the employees in the store as well to see some of this old stuff come in the
Yeah.
door and be able to have that experience almost of like putting it together for the first time.
Yeah,
like
it
a
is.
bit of a relic, like a time relic here.
It is, definitely. And it's funny because when you're putting it together, the pieces like from this era sound different than the newer parts today. They're always trying to improve their product, and of course they keep moving towards better improvements, better brick quality and stuff like that. But I remember when I was a kid putting sets together, and my employee and I were talking about this, they used to advertise like you would hear the click, like you hear that click and it was loud. And I remember as a kid never liking that click. I thought it would break the brick. So I tried to like squeeze it together and it would just make this kind of plastic rubbing against plastic noise and like this creaking sound more than a click. So, but it's funny to put these old sets together and they have that kind of iconic click to them, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. Well, we've seen a lot of really awesome stuff that you've assembled here as kind of an example of what you stock in the
Yeah.
store. So for people who have seen these sets and are interested in picking up some stuff like this, do you sell any of this stuff online, or do people have to come into the store if they want to pick it
We
up?
don't have an online store currently. We started out our store back in 2020. So we opened in August 2020, so right in the middle of pandemic stuff, where everybody was doing online shopping and things like that. And we were hesitant to do online stuff because we wanted our store to be an in-person event for people when they come in. We wanted them to have that experience. So that was part of our decision not to have an online store. So anything that we do have, any of our products are available in the store. So it's an in-person experience and something that you can come in and look at and touch and, you know, just get that experience firsthand.
Yeah, you experience the play features, see the beautiful pink colors in person.
Yeah. A lot of the sets that we have, you know, we do have some large sets on display, and to see it in person, you know, it gives a person or customer or somebody that might be thinking about that set a good indication of how big it's going to look afterwards. So a lot of people will like, oh, I was going to buy that set, but maybe it's too big for the spot I had picked out. So they go home and rearrange their area and say, okay, now I can get it because I have the room for it now or something.
Right. I think there's a lot to be said for also knowing the quality of the bricks or minifigures, whatever it might be that you come in here. And I think that's, in my mind, always been one of the really cool things about a bricks minifig store versus just buying from someplace online is that you know exactly the quality of the bricks or even the box, if it's a sealed set, whatever it might be. You're not going to receive something in the mail and be very unpleasantly surprised in the quality it arrives with.
And we get a lot of those stories from people coming in, you know, I ordered this online, it was missing this and this and this, or it came in and it was like not even real Lego inside of the box. So we've heard a lot of those horror stories of people having bad online experiences and bad purchases, and we just wanted to make sure that, you know, what we offer in the store is 100% genuine, and we go through it and we're fairly meticulous about, you know, making sure that every Lego product is quality enough to be handed on to the next person.
Great. Well, for everyone watching, if you are in the Tucson, Arizona area or ever passing through this area, make sure you come into the store, check out some of this awesome stuff. There's always cool new stuff coming in the door as well, so it's always changing
it changes
as well.
every day. You never know what's going to walk in, and that's part of the excitement about it. So we always tell people, yeah, come by. We have a customer that was here today. Every time he drives by, he makes sure to stop in because who knows what we got yesterday. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking us through all the cool products you have here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being here.